ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
Firefighters continuing their battle tonight against two wildfires burning in Southern California. The Blue Ridge Fire in Chino Hills has burned over 14,000 acres. The Silverado Fire in Irvine has burned 13,000. Good evening. I'm Kimberly Hunt.
And I'm Steve Atkinson. As our ABC 10 News reporter Laura Acevedo shows us, fire crews are up against strong Santa Ana winds.
At least 10 houses have been damaged and more than 90,000 people forced to evacuate their homes. As night fell in Chino Hills, the line of the Blue Ridge Fire still burning extremely close to homes, flames lighting up the sky. Earlier in the day, some people in Chino Hills choosing to stay and hope for the best, while others deciding not to risk it.
So we're just packing up my parents and ensuring that they're safe. We're going to take them to our home in Eastville.
Look at that.
The fire fueled by Santa Ana's and dry brush that hasn't burned in years.
Pretty scary, like, to see, it's right behind me. It'd be scary to see this whole neighborhood come up in flames.
In Irvine, the Silverado fire just 5% contained. SoCal Edison announcing it's investigating if its equipment is to blame for starting the fire. 5 firefighters injured, 2 of them critically.
It's tough for any firefighter, certainly any fire chief, to feel this helpless when you've got part of our fire family again, fighting for their lives.
Laura Acevedo, ABC 10 News.
And Orange County firefighters are raising money for those 2 critically injured firefighters through a GoFundMe page. All the proceeds donated will go to cover the costs related to the burn care and family support.
Protesters again took to the streets in Philadelphia tonight after police shot and killed a black man holding a knife yesterday. The shooting was captured on cell phone video. The man, Walter Wallace Jr., had a history of mental illness, and police say looters were again taking advantage of the protests to break into stores. Wallace's father has called for peace in the city.
Elsewhere tonight, fans have flooded the streets of Los Angeles after the Dodgers won their first World Series in more than 20 years. In Pacoima, fans took over an intersection and filled the air with smoke during burnouts. Also set off a lot of fireworks and held flags as they ran circles celebrating the Dodgers championship. Our ABC 10 News Sports Director Ben Higgins will have all the highlights from the Dodgers Game 6 win over the Rays coming up later in sports. The San Diego Sheriff's Office just released new video from a strange burglary in Spring Valley. In this video, a mortuary worker can be seen rolling a body bag out of a home on a gurney. He takes it to a van and then loads it up. Deputies say that's Sammy Gates in the video and that body bag is actually filled with items that belong to a man who recently died. This happened back in August. Gates was arrested and is currently in jail. Deputies say they have found 5 other victims. They're looking for more.
Turning now to the coronavirus, San Diego County will remain in the red tier at least for another week. New numbers released today by the state put our adjusted case rate at 6.5 per 100,000 people. We would have been above 7 to fall to the lowest purple tier. The big factor was our high testing rate, which pushed our number lower. And landing in the purple tier would put indoor businesses such as restaurants and gyms in jeopardy.
And here are the latest numbers. The county announced 269 new cases today. That brings our total to 55,200. There were also 7 new deaths, bringing that total to 877.
Mission Vista High School will likely have to close its campus this week. In a special meeting tonight, the Vista Unified School Board passed new rules for its middle and high schools. Its schools reopened for in-person learning last week and has seen a handful of positive coronavirus cases already. ABC 10 News reporter Anthony Pura listened to that meeting, which pointed to the closing of Mission Vista.
That's right. That closure is expected to happen on Thursday. Right now, the school district says that On Tuesday, the Vista Unified School District held a special meeting to address a staffing issue that's occurred since reopening for in-person learning on October 20th. In the past week, there have been at least 4 confirmed COVID-19 cases in the district. As a result, teachers are being quarantined and school officials say there's not enough substitute teachers. The board voted on a plan that would address that staffing issue by using a threshold system to close down some of its middle and high schools with COVID-19 cases. The details have yet to be hashed out, but in principle, they voted the new rules would be if one school has 2 positive cases in a certain time period, the whole school would shift to virtual learning for 14 days, or if 3 secondary schools see 1 case each within a certain period, all 3 would go virtual for 2 weeks. Not lost on school administrators, Mission Vista High School already has 2 positive COVID-19 cases.
This vote would then cause Mission Vista High School to close immediately. And we would likely communicate that to them and start it on Thursday.
And how many days would that be closed for now? Because they've already used up some of their quarantine days, right?
That would be like, that's a really good example of a specific that we would have to work out.
Several teachers were listening to the virtual board meeting. Some of their immediate reactions were mixed.
We should all still be virtual because that's the safest thing to do. In my opinion, 1 case at a school is too many. Just the fact that it's okay to spread COVID or just expose people to COVID in a school is just, it's not acceptable to me, and it should be virtual.
No, it's way better than what we had before. I think that if you have Corona running around in your schools, you have to be willing to switch to virtual.
That was Anthony Pura reporting. And now there's also the threat of the county falling back into the purple tier, or most restrictive tier of COVID-19. Cases increase if that were to happen, and they would have to go back to distance learning.
Parents rallied again this afternoon after San Diego Unified announced it won't bring more students back to campus until next year. Depending on the pandemic, the district says it hopes to bring back elementary students on January 4th and all other grade levels by January the 25th. Even then, students would only be on campus part of the week, learning virtually the rest of the time. Some parents have argued the district can and should do more to get students back in the classroom.
Absolutely poorly all the way around. I mean, they've had 7 months to prepare up until now, and we've had no communication.
The district says its goal is to test anyone who comes on campus every few weeks. Across the nation, the deadline to send in absentee ballots is closing soon. Election Day is now just a week away, and according to the United States Elections Project, nationwide, about half of the 90 million people who requested mail-in ballots have already returned them. And as ABC's Faith Abube reports, the candidates are blitzing the battleground states for every last vote.
No days off for President Trump.
Now I've got to say, I'm working my ass off here.
As his campaign lags in the polls in the final days of the election. This Michigan rally just one of 3 stops for the president on Tuesday. By week's end, Trump would have blitzed through nearly a dozen states, trying to court some of the same voters he won in 2016.
There's never been anything like this in terms of enthusiasm, in terms of crowds.
But former Vice President Joe Biden is now moving into GOP territory, campaigning in Georgia, a state no Democrat has won in nearly 30 years.
We win Georgia, we win everything.
As he moves through several battleground states this week, Biden's will be a closing message about a failed pandemic response and unity ahead.
Stay empowered, stay optimistic, stay united, because you too have a sacred duty, the duty to vote.
Trump, meanwhile, continuing to downplay the pandemic, even as cases soar.
You can't watch anything else. Turn on COVID, 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 COVID. Well, we have
COVID, 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 he's complaining. He's jealous of COVID's media coverage.
In her first 2020 solo campaign event, First Lady Melania Trump defending the administration's pandemic response.
We do not close down or hide in fear. We get to work to find real and lasting solutions.
A week still to go, and data shows at least 69.4 million voters have already cast their ballots. And to give it more context, that's more than 50% of all the votes counted in the 2016 general election.
Faith Abube, ABC News, Washington.
Now, here in California, mail-in ballots have to be postmarked on or before Election Day, but they can be received by county officials up to 17 days late and still be counted.
An arrest in a murder that's remained a mystery for more than 50 years. On Saturday, officers in Pennsylvania arrested 75-year-old John Sipos in connection with the murder of Mary Scott. She was found dead in her City Heights home back in 1969. Investigators found Sipos through forensic genealogy. He's now set to be extradited to San Diego.